there and welcome. My name is KSmolkis and I am excited to explore the implementation of alternative and augmentative communication with the faculty and students at Oak Hill School. In organizing for this project, I met with our related services team and chatted a bunch about the technology that we use and where our biggest struggles lie. We all agreed that communication is an ongoing roadblock many of our students face in gaining more access to their education, and something very much tied up in technology. Currently at Oak Hill School, just under 50% of the student population is primarily non-speaking and in some way reliant on AAC as a way to communicate. And as a total communication approach school, we utilize spoken language, ASL, and visual supports together to best support the communication needs of our students. The visual supports used can range from physically printed images utilized as part of a picture exchange communication system known as PEX or PEX-esque communication, to specialized devices like a Tobii Dynavox, apps like ProLiquo Go, and Big Mac switches. When there are any lapses along the way with these pieces of communication technology, we are leaving students without their voices, which is a huge concern. The implementation and continued use of AAC, especially speech-generating devices, SGDs, for special education students face a few key difficulties, which include obtaining and maintaining the supplies and devices, training staff and families in the usage and maintenance of these devices, teaching students how to use them, and promoting this use with fidelity among staff and students. When pieces of the PEX systems go missing, devices break or lose charge, or staff are not well trained in interactions with these devices, that leaves our students completely out of the social loop and effectively removes their voice. As a school, we must work to fill these gaps and proactively plan to reduce any of these lapses and to continue to work to utilize the strengths of the ever-growing and changing technology to support the communication needs of all students, and to promote their personal growth and independence in functional and meaningful ways. Let's take a minute to go over the literature available on AAC and use in special education. The literature reviewed here supports concerns from professionals in the field that there is no clear singular practice or protocol for teacher learning in place, but that there should be, to best support students who might benefit from AAC use. The literature presented clearly defines that it is critical to involve the individual's preferences when exploring which AAC or mix of AAC and other languages would best suit everyone. It's important to remember that many of our students come to us already bilingual, understanding picture communication, Spanish, English, ASL, etc. Research continues to show that the importance of collaboration among professionals, both in knowing which AAC is best for their students, what is out there, and being educated themselves in how to integrate this learning into practice for their students. The research also points out the absolute necessity to include the individual's preferences and strengths when deciding on which AAC to implement for which student. When these pieces are not in place, the literature explains that students often turn down the opportunity to utilize AAC in favor of a more universally available means or a mix of different communication styles that will work more effectively for the student with fewer outside variables in play. All right, let's look at the project design. When it comes down to it, we're looking at a professional development. We have a few considerations when we look at project design. The first is to address the problems surrounding the productive implementation and continued usage of AAC by the students at Oak Hill School. And to do that, I'd recommend a professional development. The concept of this professional development will be to review existing AAC devices and programs to all staff members and interested parents as well, and to introduce the concepts necessary for implementation of these devices with students in a way that provides fidelity and ease of access. This training would be designed to occur in a 4-hour block, as that is the time allotted for our half-day PD that is already offered monthly at Oak Hill School. This would allow trainers to rotate through each classroom and ensure that the specific needs of each student within that classroom are addressed in the moment with the staff who work to support that student. Once organized, the professional development will be led by speech-language pathologists and classroom teachers. It will outline the use of the speech-generating devices, review the kinds utilized in that classroom with their students, Teachers in SLP will outline the care of the devices, charging plans, and remind staff members to ensure that devices travel back and forth to school so that we're not leaving students without their connection to language during transportation or at home. These sessions will run in each classroom on a rotation with a new classroom each month over the course of 9 months and with a check-in during our school-wide town hall meeting, where there is a forum to do so. When it comes to extending this training to parents, SLPs, and teachers, we'll collaborate to meet with the parents either in classrooms or at home, and we'll work from the beginning to identify the proper device or application with the family, and then to train the family to support their student in the same way that the classroom will. A final key piece of these trainings will be setting up a resource library within each classroom. This will consist of physical copies of the training offered or a QR code to access recordings of it online for any staff member who's missed the initial training in the classroom. This library will also be a storage area for extra chargers, PECs, printed visuals, visual support pieces, supplies for cleaning and maintaining any AAC or SGD, as well as tips and tricks to support staff learning to help students learn their own devices and applications. The goal of this area is an extension of the original professional development and will be used to maintain the items required for students when implementing and teaching the use of AAC, especially with a focus on speech-generating devices. Often, as identified within the literature that we talked about before, it is pieces that go missing or uncharged that lead to the breakdown in student buy-in to learning these tools to support their learning and communication. The goal of this PD is to support staff and families in supporting our students. In order to assess the effectiveness and continuing success of this professional development and further the implementation and usage of AAC and SGDs with the student population at Oak Hill School, data will need to be collected. In order to best complete this, an online form will be created using Mentimeter and a QR code that you can see on this slide, which is generated for staff members to utilize in order to complete the survey following the professional development. The survey will ask 5 questions about the training and leave space for commentary on questions left unanswered or items not addressed, as well as identified by the participants in the training. These questions will help to guide amendments to the professional development offered in the future, as well as to upkeep and team member meetings to better inform faculty to ensure that they are confident in the usage, upkeep, and education of students regarding these means of communication. Analysis of data. When data has been collected, both by means of staff survey following professional development, as well as IEP and physical count of students impacted by this training and further support, an analysis must occur. This analysis will help to make sense of the data collected and to organize it into a format that is more easily digestible by key stakeholders, including parents and organization members. The importance of sharing this analysis lies in the continued support for student use of SGD and other forms of AAC, as well as a continued understanding of the importance of our continual professional development to support faculty in building student comprehension and engagement with these means of communication, in addition to an already rich environment and a total communication approach school. The data will then be displayed in both charts and graphs to allow maximum transparency, as well as to provide an effective visual representation of the findings. These findings will include what types of AAC and SGD employed currently and those being explored. They will also include counts of current classroom support required to implement, engage, and educate on these means of communication. Finally, the analysis will also help to work as a baseline initially and then a data point in the future to show growth or losses in the area and use of implementation of AAC and SGD at Oak Hill School. Looking to the future, this data and analysis might be helpful in creating a plan for schools outside of Oak Hill School who might benefit from implementing a similar support system for their faculty and students. What comes next? The exciting part for me as a teacher leader is what comes next. With the implementation of this professional development and family training plan, we will hopefully be able to see measurable progress in the communication of our students using AAC and SGD. At Oak Hill School, one of our greatest points of pride is sharing what we know and what we've learned from our students and our trainings with the districts whom we serve. And I think after that, we could expand beyond that to other schools and other districts and possibly other states in the future. It has been one of our seed goals to begin to reach out more and work with districts to support students in their home districts rather than an outplacement. And this is a really great place to start as it is a common area of need. Thanks for joining, and feel free to reach out with any questions or ideas you'd like to share.